In just the last 90 days, the Obama administration has proposed 5,798 new regulations. And some fear that there's another one on the way that could soon impact your Second Amendment rights. After the election, a lot of gun shops reported rising sales, sparked by fears that access to firearms and ammunition could be restricted. Our next guest says that may not be far from the truth. Gun rights expert John Snyder joins us live. Mr. Snyder, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Shannon. It's very good to be here.
I want to ask you about something that you wrote about just a few days ago. You say, according to confidential information, that forces linked with the administration are suggesting the government might reclassify certain firearms and weapons, changing their status under the National Firearms Act, which would make it a lot more difficult to get them. What can you tell us about that?
Well, according to the confidential information I have, semi-automatic firearms or certain semi-automatic firearms under this scenario would be declared as Title II National Firearms Act firearms. The false argument they would use for this is to say that certain semi-automatic firearms can be easily made into or changed into fully automatic firearms. This is untrue, of course, but of course, this type of thing has not stopped this administration in the past. What this would mean is that people who wish to acquire semi-automatic firearms would not be able to acquire them unless they were willing to get prior approval by the government and pay a $200 fine for each separate firearm. This, of course, would generate tremendous animosity on the part of the hundreds of millions of firearms-owning Americans in the United States, and could lead, I think, to a move in the House of Representatives to slash the budget of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, which would be the agency the Obama administration would order to pursue this endeavor if it so chose to do so.
And my understanding is that the way you've laid this out, Congress would not be involved in this process. Our elected representatives wouldn't be involved. You mentioned that possibly through the Bureau of Alcohol, Firearms, and Explosives, basically what would happen is this would be a move by the administration that would go into effect without the legislature getting involved.
Well, that's the problem there, Shannon. You see, the gun grabbers in the United States for years have wanted to deprive law-abiding citizens of being able to obtain any firearms, especially in this case semi-automatic firearms. There is a move by the gun grabbers in Congress to try to ban semi-automatic firearms or certain semi-automatic firearms, but they probably will not get very far with this proposal because there simply is not public support for it. So the gun grabbers then would rely on their boy in the White House to use executive order in this way to try to ban them, to keep law-abiding citizens from being able to obtain these firearms for legitimate purposes.
Well, the White House, each time this gun rights issue has come up, has said that, you know, the president and the White House have no intention at all of depriving Americans of their Second Amendment rights. But we know that there's also a UN treaty that the U.S. is now involved in negotiating and hammering out that would also deal with gun rights. So we'll keep a close eye on what you've tagged and on that treaty as well. And we'll keep folks out there updated. John Snyder, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you.
Well, a new report